My name is Fletcher Ward, and I used to believe in happy endings. 39 years old, tech consultant, father to Jamie, husband to Corinne. We lived in Millbrook Heights, one of those suburban neighborhoods where everyone's lawn looks like a golf course, and the biggest scandal is usually someone putting their trash out a day early. I should have known something was wrong when Corinne started caring more about her phone than our conversations. But hindsight is 20/20, isn't it? "Dad, can you help me with this calculus problem?" Jamie asked, sliding his textbook across our kitchen island. 15 years old, sharp as a tack, and thankfully more like me than his mother in the common sense department. "Sure thing, kiddo." I glanced up from my laptop where I'd been debugging code for a client. "What's got you stumped?" "Integration by parts. Mrs. Henderson makes it sound simple, but—" "Fletcher, do you think this lighting is good?" Corinne interrupted, holding her phone at various angles near the window. She'd changed outfits 3 times that morning, settling on a cream sweater that probably cost more than my monthly car payment. "Looks fine to me," I said, turning back to Jamie's homework. "So integration by parts is basically—" "I'm not asking if it looks fine. I'm asking if the lighting works for the photo." Her voice had that edge it got when she thought I wasn't paying proper attention to her digital life. Jamie rolled his eyes. "Mom's been at this for 20 minutes. It's important, Jamie. Social media presence matters for my career." Corinne worked in public relations for a boutique firm downtown. Everything was about image, perception, brand management. Sometimes I wondered if she saw our family the same way. "Right. Because your followers are really invested in whether the light hits your sweater at the perfect angle," I muttered. "What was that?" "Nothing, honey. Just helping Jamie with his homework." She huffed and moved to the living room, presumably to find better lighting. I heard the familiar sound of her camera clicking repeatedly. "Is Mom okay?" Jamie asked quietly. "She's been weird lately." Weird was putting it mildly. Corinne had always been social media savvy, but lately she'd become obsessed. Late nights on her phone, secretive about what she was doing, defensive when I asked innocent questions. She'd started going to the gym more often, taking mysterious phone calls in the other room and claiming she needed space to find herself. "She's just stressed about work," I told Jamie, though I wasn't entirely convinced myself. The truth was, our marriage had been on autopilot for months. We went through the motions, family dinners, weekend errands, polite conversations about schedules and bills, but the spark, whatever had drawn us together 16 years ago, had dimmed to barely a flicker. "Fletcher," Corinne called from the living room, "come look at this." I sighed and walked over. She was curled up on our couch, phone in hand, beaming at the screen. "I found some old photos from college. Look how young we were." She showed me her phone. The photos were of her and some guy I vaguely recognized. Desmond Green, her ex-boyfriend from before we met. They looked cozy, his arm around her shoulders, both of them laughing at some private joke. "Throwback Thursday," she announced. "I'm going to post these. So nostalgic, right?" Something felt off, but I couldn't put my finger on it. "Since when do you post throwback photos?" "Since always. Don't you follow my Instagram?" She was already typing a caption. "College days with Desmond. Time flies. Throwback Thursday. Memories. Good times." "Isn't Desmond married now?" I asked. "So, these are old photos, Fletcher, from before I even knew you existed." Her tone was defensive, which struck me as odd for something so supposedly innocent. I shrugged and returned to the kitchen. Jamie had moved on to his English homework, apparently giving up on calculus for the moment. "Your mom's posting old college photos," I told him. "Cool," he said without looking up from his book. "Can we order pizza tonight? Mom said she might be late." "Late from where?" "I don't know. She said something about helping Grandma with house stuff." That was news to me. Corinne's mother lived across town and was perfectly capable of handling her own house stuff. But maybe I'd missed something. Lately, it felt like I missed a lot of things. My phone buzzed. A notification from Instagram. Corinne had tagged me in her post. I opened the app and saw the photos she'd shown me, now live for all her followers to see. The caption was exactly what she'd written, complete with hashtags. I was about to close the app when something caught my attention. Call it professional curiosity. I work with data and metadata all day. The timestamp on the photos looked wrong. I screenshot the post and opened it in a photo analysis app I use for work. The metadata told a story that didn't match Corinne's caption. The photos weren't from college. They weren't even from last year. They were taken last Tuesday. Last Tuesday, when Corinne told me she was helping her mother reorganize the garage. I stared at my phone screen, feeling like the ground had shifted beneath my feet. There had to be an explanation. Maybe the metadata was corrupted. Maybe she'd edited the photos and somehow changed the timestamp. Maybe... But even as I tried to rationalize it, pieces started falling into place. The secretive phone calls, the extra attention to her appearance, the defensive attitude about innocent questions, the sudden need for space. My wife wasn't posting throwback photos. She was posting evidence of an ongoing affair, and she'd just shared it with 300 followers, including her friends, family, and, I checked the tagged location, people who knew both of us. I looked at the comment section. Already her friends were responding with heart emojis and "you two were so cute" and "miss those college days." Her sister had commented, "Aw, remember when you dated him? So long ago." Her mother had liked the post, and then I saw a comment that made my stomach drop. "Wait, isn't this Desmond? I saw him at the coffee shop last week and he mentioned you guys had been catching up." The comment was from Bree, one of Corinne's closest friends. I sat there for a moment, phone in hand, watching more comments appear. Everyone was buying into the throwback narrative. Everyone except me, because I knew something they didn't. I knew exactly where my wife had been last Tuesday, and it wasn't at her mother's house. My finger hovered over the comment box. I could let it slide. Pretend I hadn't noticed. Avoid the confrontation and deal with this privately. But something in me, maybe it was the humiliation of being lied to so publicly, maybe it was the casual way she'd involved our entire social circle in her deception, made me type 4 simple words. "Funny, you told me you were at your mom's." I hit send before I could change my mind. Within seconds, my phone started buzzing with notifications. The comment section exploded. It started with confused responses from Corinne's friends. "What do you mean, Fletcher?" from Liv. "These are old photos, right?" from Maya. Then came the questions I could practically hear in worried voices. "Wait, when were these taken?" from her cousin Rachel. I watched it unfold in real time, like a car accident in slow motion. Each new comment added another layer of confusion and suspicion. Corinne's carefully crafted narrative was crumbling, one question mark at a time. "Fletcher, what are you doing?" Corinne appeared in the kitchen doorway, phone clutched in her hand, face pale. "Just commenting on your post," I said, keeping my voice level. "Nice photos, by the way. Very nostalgic. Delete that comment right now." "Why? It's just an observation." Jamie looked up from his homework, sensing the tension. "Everything okay?" "Everything's fine," Corinne said quickly. "Your father is just being..." My phone buzzed again. This time it was a direct message from someone I didn't recognize. Tasha Green. The profile picture showed a woman with short, dark hair and sharp features. "Is your wife having an affair with my husband?" The message read. Desmond's wife. I showed Corinne my phone screen. The color drained from her face completely. "I can explain," she whispered. "I'm sure you can, but maybe you should start with the comment section. Your friends are getting worried." She looked at her phone and I saw her face cycle through several emotions. Panic, anger, desperation. The comments were multiplying faster than she could keep up. Her sister had written, "Corinne, call me, now." Her mother. "What is Fletcher talking about? You were supposed to be here Tuesday, but you never showed up." And then came the comment that really set things off, from someone named Jennifer Walsh. "I work at the hotel restaurant downtown. Didn't I see you two there Tuesday afternoon?" "Oh, this is bad," I said, not bothering to hide my satisfaction. "This is really, really bad." "Dad, what's happening?" Jamie asked. "Your mother posted some photos that aren't quite what they seem to be," I said carefully. "And now people are asking questions." Corinne was frantically typing responses, trying to control the narrative, but it was like trying to stop a flood with a paper towel. Every explanation she offered only raised more questions. "These are old photos," she commented. "Fletcher is confused," but her mother had already chimed in. "Confused about what? You told me you were coming Tuesday and then never showed up. I called 3 times. Bree added, "But I literally just saw Desmond last week, and he said you guys had lunch recently." I leaned back in my chair, watching my wife's digital world implode. Part of me felt bad for her. Part of me felt vindicated. Mostly, I felt tired. "You could have just told me," I said quietly. She looked up from her phone, eyes wide with something between fear and fury. "Told you what?" "That you wanted out. That you weren't happy. That you'd rather be with him." I gestured toward her phone. "Instead of this." "There's nothing to tell. These are old photos." "Corinne." I pulled up the metadata analysis on my phone and showed her the screen. "The timestamp says these were taken at 2:47 p.m. last Tuesday. The GPS coordinates put you at Riverside Park, specifically near the gazebo where couples go for romantic photos. You told me you were helping your mom reorganize her garage from noon until 5. She stared at the screen, her last line of defense crumbling. "How did you—" "I'm a tech consultant, remember? I work with digital forensics. Metadata is literally part of my job." Jamie was watching this exchange with growing understanding. "Mom, were you lying about where you were?" "Jamie, go to your room," Corinne said sharply. "No," I said. "He's 15, not 5. He can handle the truth." I looked at my son. "Your mom has been seeing her ex-boyfriend. She posted photos of them together and tried to pass them off as old memories, but the photos were taken last week." "Fletcher," Corinne snapped. "What? You want to keep lying? Your comment section is already figuring it out." She looked at her phone again. The comments had taken a decidedly different tone. Her friends were no longer posting heart emojis. Her family members were asking direct questions. And Desmond's wife had apparently found the post, because there was a new comment that made my stomach clench with secondhand embarrassment. "Desmond, you pathetic piece of garbage. Don't bother coming home tonight, or ever." "Oh, wow," I said. "Tasha found your post." Corinne was reading the same comment, her face cycling through emotions I couldn't quite identify. "This is a disaster." "Yeah, it really is." My phone buzzed with another direct message from Tasha. "Can we talk? I think we need to compare notes." I showed the message to Corinne. "Your boyfriend's wife wants to chat. Should I tell her you'll call her back?" "This isn't funny, Fletcher." "You're right. It's not funny. It's humiliating. For both of us." I stood up from the kitchen island. But at least now it's honest. Corinne was still staring at her phone, watching the comment section turn into a public trial. Friends were taking sides, family members were demanding explanations, and strangers were weighing in with their own observations and theories. "I need to delete this," she said. "Too late. Screenshots are forever." I held up my phone. "I've got them. Tasha's got them. Probably half your friends have them by now." She looked at me with something approaching hatred. "You did this on purpose. I posted a comment. You did everything else. You could have talked to me privately." "When? Between your mysterious phone calls and your sudden need to help your mom with projects that apparently don't exist?" I shook my head. "Besides, you made this public the moment you posted those photos. I just pointed out what was already there." Jamie cleared his throat. "So, are you guys getting divorced?" The question hung in the air like smoke. Corinne and I looked at each other, and for a moment I saw something in her expression that might have been regret. "I don't know," I said honestly. "I need some air," Corinne said. She grabbed her purse and headed for the door. "Where are you going?" I called after her. "Somewhere that isn't here." The door slammed behind her. Jamie and I sat in the sudden quiet, the only sound coming from my phone as it continued buzzing with notifications. "Dad?" "Yeah?" "I'm sorry this happened." I looked at my son. Really looked at him. 15 years old, caught in the middle of his parents' disaster, handling it with more maturity than either of us had shown. "Me too, kiddo." "Are you going to be okay?" I considered the question. My marriage was probably over. My wife had been cheating on me and had just been publicly exposed. My family was about to become the subject of neighborhood gossip for months, but for the first time in a long time, I felt like I could breathe. "Yeah," I said. "I think I'm going to be fine." My phone buzzed again. Another message from Tasha. "Coffee tomorrow? I have a feeling we have a lot to discuss." I looked at Jamie. "Want to order that pizza?" He grinned. "Extra cheese?" "Extra everything." As I dialed the pizza place, I could hear my phone continuing to buzz with notifications from Corinne's post. The comment section had become a digital crime scene, and everyone we knew was a witness. But for the first time in months, I wasn't worried about managing anyone's perception or protecting anyone's feelings. The truth was out there now, timestamp and all. I met Tasha Green at a coffee shop downtown the next morning. She was smaller than her profile picture suggested, but there was an intensity in her dark eyes that made her seem larger than life. She'd chosen a corner table, away from other customers, and had already ordered 2 coffees by the time I arrived. "Fletcher Ward," I said, extending my hand. "Tasha Green, though I might be changing that name soon." Her handshake was firm, businesslike. "Thank you for meeting me." "Thank you for reaching out." I sat down across from her. I have to admit, yesterday was a lot. That's one way to put it. She slid a manila folder across the table. "I've been documenting things for a while. I had my suspicions, but your comment yesterday confirmed everything." I opened the folder. Inside were printed screenshots of text messages, credit card statements, and what looked like surveillance photos. Tasha had been busy. "How long have you known?" I asked. "About 6 months, maybe longer. Desmond started acting different last fall, more secretive, more concerned about his appearance. Classic signs." She sipped her coffee. "But I needed proof before I did anything." The text messages were damning, conversations between Corinne and Desmond that left no doubt about the nature of their relationship. Hotel receipts, restaurant bills for 2 when I thought Corinne was working late. A paper trail of deception that stretched back months. "Why didn't you confront them?" I asked. "Because I wanted to make sure I had everything I needed first. Desmond is vindictive. He would have made the divorce as difficult as possible if I hadn't been prepared." She leaned forward. "But your comment yesterday changed things. Now it's public. Now everyone knows. Are you angry about that?" She smiled, and it wasn't entirely pleasant. "Angry? Fletcher, you did me a favor. I was planning to expose them privately, through lawyers and court filings. You exposed them to everyone they know. That's so much better." We spent the next hour going through her evidence. Tasha was thorough. She had dates, times, locations, and financial records. She'd even hired a private investigator for a few weeks to confirm her suspicions. "The thing that really gets me," she said, "is how sloppy they were. Meeting at restaurants where people knew them, using their real names at hotels, posting photos with metadata intact." She shook her head. "It's like they wanted to get caught." Maybe they did. Maybe this was their way of forcing the issue. By humiliating both of us publicly? I thought about it. Corinne has always been conflict avoidant. She'd rather create a crisis than have a difficult conversation. And Desmond, well, I don't know him well, but he always struck me as arrogant. Maybe he thought he was too smart to get caught. Tasha laughed bitterly. Too smart. Right. The man who left his hotel receipts in his pants pocket for me to find. What's your plan now? Divorce, obviously. I've already filed. Desmond will be served papers today. She closed the folder. What about you? I honestly don't know. Part of me wants to fight for the marriage, try to work things out. But another part of me... I trailed off. Another part of you is relieved? How did you know? Because I feel the same way. My marriage has been over for years. We were just going through the motions. She stood up. But Fletcher, let me give you some advice. Don't let them control the narrative now. They're going to try to make this your fault somehow. They're going to say you invaded their privacy, that you were controlling or suspicious or paranoid. But I wasn't. I literally stumbled onto this by accident. I know that, you know that, but they're going to spin it differently. She handed me a business card. That's my lawyer. She's excellent, and she specializes in cases involving social media evidence. You might want to give her a call. After Tasha left, I sat in the coffee shop for another hour, processing everything I'd learned. The scope of Corinne's deception was staggering. This wasn't a momentary lapse in judgment or a brief emotional affair. This was a months-long relationship conducted right under my nose. My phone rang. Pete Kowalski, my best friend since college and the owner of a sports bar downtown. Dude, what the hell happened yesterday? He said without preamble. My wife showed me some Instagram drama with you and Corinne. It's a long story. I've got time. And beer. Come by the bar. Pete's place was called the Penalty Box, and it was exactly what you'd expect from a bar owned by a former hockey player. Dark wood, sports memorabilia, and the kind of atmosphere where you could have serious conversations without being overheard. So let me get this straight, Pete said after I'd filled him in. Corinne posted photos of herself with her ex, claimed they were old, but you figured out they were taken last week? That's the short version, yeah. And now his wife wants to team up with you? Apparently. Pete shook his head. This is like something out of a movie. What are you going to do? I have no idea. Part of me wants to try to save the marriage. We have Jamie to think about, and 16 years of history. But I can't stop thinking about how easy it was for her to lie to me. How natural it seemed. How many other times has she done this? Have you talked to her since yesterday? She came home around midnight, went straight to the guest room. She was gone when I woke up this morning. Pete poured himself a beer from the tap. You know what really bothers me about this? The disrespect. She didn't just cheat on you. She involved your entire social circle in the deception. She made everyone complicit in her lie. What do you mean? Think about it. Her friends, her family, your neighbors, they all saw that post. They all believed her story. And when you exposed the truth, she made all of them look foolish for defending her. He took a sip of beer. That's not just betraying you. That's betraying everyone who trusted her. I hadn't thought about it that way. But Pete was right. Corinne's deception had ripple effects beyond our marriage. She'd manipulated the truth in a public forum, involving people who had no idea they were participating in a lie. So what would you do? I asked. Me? I'd make sure everyone knew the whole truth. Not just the timestamp thing, but everything. The hotel receipts, the fake alibis, the months of lying. Pete's expression was serious. But that's just me. I don't like being made to look like a fool. My phone buzzed with a text from Jamie. Mom came home and packed a bag. She said she's staying at Aunt Lisa's for a few days. Are you okay? I showed the message to Pete. Well, that answers that, he said. She's running away instead of dealing with it. Maybe she needs time to think. Or maybe she's trying to figure out how to spin this in her favor. Pete leaned across the bar. Fletcher, I've known you for 20 years. You're a good guy, a good father, and you deserved better than this. Don't let her make you feel guilty for exposing her lie. I finished my beer and headed home, my mind spinning with possibilities and plans. When I walked into the house, I found Jamie in the kitchen, making himself a sandwich. Hey, Dad, Mom left this for you. He handed me an envelope with my name written in Corinne's careful handwriting. Inside was a single sheet of paper. Fletcher, I know you're angry, and you have every right to be. But what you did yesterday was cruel and vindictive. You humiliated me in front of everyone we know, and for what? To make yourself feel better? We need to talk, but not while you're in this mindset. I'll be at Lisa's until you're ready to have a mature conversation about our future. C. I read it twice, feeling my anger build with each word. What does it say? Jamie asked. Your mother thinks I'm the problem. Are you? I looked at my son, this kid who was handling his parents' disaster with more grace than either of us deserved. What do you think? Jamie considered the question seriously. I think Mom lied to you, and when you caught her, she got mad at you for catching her instead of being sorry for lying. Out of the mouths of babes. Yeah, I said. That's exactly what happened. My phone buzzed with another message from Tasha. Desmond was served papers an hour ago. He called me screaming about how this is all your fault for starting drama. Thought you should know. I showed Jamie the message. So they're blaming you for everything? Looks like it. Jamie finished making his sandwich and sat down across from me. Dad, can I ask you something? Of course. Are you going to fight back? The question caught me off guard. What do you mean? I mean, they're trying to make you look like the bad guy. Are you going to let them? I thought about Tasha's evidence folder, about Pete's advice, about Corinne's letter, which blamed me for everything except the actual affair. No, I said finally. I don't think I am. The next few days passed in a strange blur of normalcy and chaos. Jamie and I fell into a routine, breakfast together, him off to school, me working from home, dinner and homework in the evening. On the surface, everything seemed almost peaceful, but underneath, the digital wildfire was spreading. Corinne had deleted the original post, but screenshots lived forever. Her friends were sharing them in private group chats, asking questions, taking sides. Some defended her, claiming the photos could have been mislabeled or edited. Others were asking harder questions about her recent behavior. I got a call from her sister Lisa on Thursday morning. Fletcher, we need to talk. About what? About what really happened. Corinne is staying here, and her story keeps changing. Lisa's voice was strained. First she said the photos were old and you were being paranoid. Then she said maybe the timestamps were wrong. Now she's admitting she's been in contact with Desmond, but claims it's innocent. What do you think? I think my sister is lying to me, and I don't appreciate it. Lisa had always been the more direct of the two sisters. Can you prove those photos were taken last week? I can prove when and where they were taken, yes. Then prove it, because right now, she's painting you as some kind of controlling husband who invaded her privacy and humiliated her for having coffee with an old friend. I spent the next hour putting together a comprehensive timeline. The metadata from the photos, cross-referenced with Corinne's claimed whereabouts, her mother's testimony about the missed visit, and the credit card records Tasha had shared showing lunch at an expensive restaurant the same day. I sent it all to Lisa. She called back 20 minutes later. She's been lying to all of us. Yeah. Fletcher, I'm sorry. I should have questioned her story from the beginning, but she seemed so upset, and you know how she gets when she feels attacked. I do know. What are you going to do now? It was a question I'd been asking myself constantly. The easy answer was divorce, Clean break, split custody, move on with our lives. But something about the way Corinne and Desmond were trying to control the narrative bothered me. I'm going to make sure people know the truth, I said. What does that mean? It means I'm tired of being the villain in someone else's story. That evening, I sat down and wrote a detailed Facebook post. Not angry or vindictive, just factual. I laid out the timeline, included screenshots of the metadata analysis, and explained exactly how I'd discovered the deception. I tagged everyone who had been involved in the original comment thread. But I didn't post it. Not yet. Instead, I called Tasha. How would you feel about going public with everything? I asked. What do you mean? I mean a coordinated response. Show everyone exactly what they've been doing with all the evidence we have. There was silence on the other end of the line. Tasha? I'm thinking. That's nuclear, Fletcher. Once we do that, there's no going back. I know. They'll never forgive us. Do you want their forgiveness? Another pause. No, I really don't. We spent the next hour coordinating our approach. Tasha would post about Desmond's pattern of deception, including the financial evidence and timeline of the affair. I would focus on Corinne's lies and manipulation, particularly the way she'd tried to gaslight me and our entire social circle. When do we do this? She asked. Friday evening. Maximum visibility, weekend for people to process and respond. You sure about this? I thought about Corinne's letter, blaming me for her humiliation, about Desmond apparently calling Tasha to scream about how this was all my fault, about the way they were trying to rewrite history to make themselves the victims. I'm sure. Friday evening came faster than I expected. Jamie was at a friend's house for the night, which was probably for the best. I sat at my kitchen table with my laptop open, the post drafted and ready to go. My phone rang. Corinne. Fletcher, we need to talk. I'm listening. I want to come home. We need to work this out, for Jamie's sake. Work what out, exactly? Our marriage, our problems. I know I made mistakes, but what you did, exposing our private business to everyone, that was wrong too. Our private business? Corinne, you posted the photos yourself. You made it public. I posted innocent photos with an innocent caption. You turned it into something ugly. I could hear it in her voice. She genuinely believed her own version of events. In her mind, she was the victim of my paranoia and vindictiveness. The photos weren't innocent, and neither was your relationship with Desmond. It was just friendship. We had coffee a few times, reminisced about old times. That's not an affair. What about the hotel receipts? Silence. What about the text messages where you told him you loved him? More silence. Corinne, I've seen the evidence. All of it. Tasha shared everything with me. That woman is crazy. She's been stalking Desmond for months, making up stories. She has credit card statements, hotel security footage, text message records from the phone company. I kept my voice level. She has everything. Fletcher, please, can we try to move past this? For Jamie? You want me to pretend it never happened? I want us to go to counseling, work on our marriage, figure out how to be happy again. For a moment, I almost said yes. 16 years of marriage, a son we both loved, a life we'd built together. It would be easier to try to repair it than to tear it all down. But then I thought about the months of lies, the casual way she'd manipulated everyone around us, the letter blaming me for her choices. Corinne, do you take any responsibility for what happened? Of course I do. I should have been more careful about what? Getting caught? That's not what I meant. Then what did you mean? Because from where I'm sitting, you're sorry you got exposed, not sorry you did it. Fletcher, answer the question. Are you sorry you had an affair, or are you sorry I found out about it? The silence stretched between us. I'm sorry everything got so complicated, she said finally. That's not an answer. It's the only answer I can give you right now. I looked at my laptop screen, the post ready to go live. Then I guess we don't have anything else to talk about. Fletcher, wait! I hung up and hit publish. Within minutes, my phone started buzzing with notifications, comments, reactions, shares. The post was spreading through our social network like wildfire. Tasha's post went live 10 minutes later. Her evidence was even more damning than mine. Financial records, surveillance photos, text message screenshots that left no doubt about the nature of Desmond and Corinne's relationship. By the time I went to bed that night, both posts had been shared dozens of times. The comment sections were brutal. Friends and family members who had initially defended Corinne were now expressing shock and disappointment. Desmond's business associates were distancing themselves from him. The narrative had completely flipped. My phone rang one more time before I turned it off for the night. Corinne again. I let it go to voicemail. The message was short. I'll never forgive you for this. I deleted it without a second thought. The weekend was a masterclass in social media warfare. What Tasha and I had started on Friday night became a self-sustaining wildfire by Saturday morning. Screenshots of our posts were being shared across multiple platforms, and people we didn't even know were weighing in with their opinions. But more importantly, other people started coming forward with their own stories. Jennifer Walsh, the restaurant worker who had commented on the original post, shared security footage from her workplace showing Corinne and Desmond having intimate dinners on multiple occasions. A hotel clerk posted about seeing them check in together. Even their old college friends started sharing stories about their relationship back then, painting a picture of a toxic on-and-off romance that apparently never really ended. "Dad, this is insane," Jamie said, scrolling through his phone at breakfast. "Everyone's talking about it. How are you handling it at school?" "Honestly, most people think Mom got what she deserved." He looked up at me. "Is that bad?" "I don't know. How do you feel about it?" Jamie considered the question. "I feel bad that she's embarrassed, but I also feel like maybe she should be. She lied to you for months. She lied to me too about where she was going and what she was doing." My phone rang. Lisa. "Fletcher, you need to call off your attack dogs." "My what?" "The people commenting on your post. They're being vicious to Corinne. Someone found her work email and sent the screenshots to her boss. She might lose her job." "I didn't tell anyone to do that." "But you started it." "Lisa, I posted facts. With evidence. If people are drawing their own conclusions and taking their own actions, that's not on me." "She's my sister, Fletcher. She's falling apart." "Where was this concern when she was lying to everyone for months?" "That's different." "How is it different?" Lisa didn't have an answer for that. The truth was, I felt bad about how far it had spiraled. I'd wanted people to know the truth, but I hadn't anticipated the mob mentality that followed. Social media had amplified everything beyond what I'd intended. But I also couldn't bring myself to feel too sorry for Corinne. She'd made her choices, and now she was facing the consequences. Sunday afternoon, I got an unexpected visitor. Desmond Green stood on my front porch looking haggard and desperate. "We need to talk," he said. "No, we really don't." "Fletcher, please. This has gone too far." Against my better judgment, I let him in. Jamie was upstairs doing homework, and I figured it was better to have this conversation inside than on the front lawn where the neighbors could watch. "What do you want, Desmond?" "I want you to take down the post. Call off whatever alliance you have with my wife. End this." "Your soon-to-be ex-wife. And why would I do that?" "Because you've made your point. Everyone knows what happened. You've humiliated both of us enough." I studied his face. He looked like he hadn't slept in days. "Are you sorry?" I asked. "What? Are you sorry for having an affair with my wife? For lying to your wife? For the months of deception?" "Of course I'm sorry it came to this. That's not what I asked." Desmond ran a hand through his hair. "Look, Corinne and we have history. We never really got closure from our relationship in college. When we reconnected last year, old feelings came back. So you decided to act on them while married to other people. It wasn't supposed to go this far. We were just trying to figure things out. By lying to everyone and sneaking around for months. We were trying to be discreet. Discreet? I laughed. You took photos at public restaurants. You used your real names at hotels. You met at places where people knew you. That's not discreet. That's sloppy. We never meant for anyone to get hurt. But you did it anyway. Desmond was quiet for a moment. What do you want from me, Fletcher? You want me to grovel? You want me to beg for forgiveness? Fine. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I had an affair with your wife. I'm sorry I lied to Tasha. I'm sorry the whole thing became public. Are you sorry you did it, or sorry you got caught? It was the same question I'd asked Corinne, and Desmond's answer was just as revealing. I'm sorry it turned into this mess. Get out of my house. Fletcher, get out and don't come back. After he left, I sat in my living room thinking about the conversation. Neither Corinne nor Desmond seemed capable of taking real responsibility for their actions. They were sorry about the consequences, sorry about getting caught, sorry about the public humiliation, but they weren't sorry about the betrayal itself. That night, I made a decision. I wasn't going to take down the post. I wasn't going to apologize for exposing the truth. And I wasn't going to let them rewrite history to make themselves the victims. But I was going to move forward with my life. Monday morning, I called the lawyer Tasha had recommended. By Wednesday, I had filed for divorce. By Friday, Corinne had been served papers. She called me that evening, crying. Fletcher, please don't do this. We can work it out. We can go to counseling, rebuild trust. Corinne, it's over. But Jamie will be fine. Kids are resilient, and he'll be better off with parents who are honest with him. I can't believe you're throwing away 16 years of marriage over one mistake. One mistake? Corinne, you had a months-long affair. You lied to me, to Jamie, to your family, to everyone we know. You manipulated social media to cover your tracks. And when you got caught, you blamed me for exposing you instead of taking responsibility for your actions. I made mistakes, but so did you. You humiliated me publicly. I commented on a post you made. Everything that happened after that was a result of your own lies catching up with you. I'll never forgive you for this. You said that before. And honestly, Corinne, I don't need your forgiveness. I need you to sign the divorce papers and let us both move on with our lives. She hung up on me. 2 weeks later, she signed the papers. 6 months after the timestamp that changed everything, I was sitting in Pete's bar with Tasha, celebrating the finalization of both our divorces. To freedom, she said, raising her beer. To truth, I replied. To never having to pretend everything is fine when it's not, Jamie added, joining us with a soda. He was 16 now, taller than me, and handling the whole situation with remarkable maturity. The aftermath had been messy, as these things always are. Corinne had tried to fight the divorce, claiming I'd been emotionally abusive and controlling, but the evidence was too overwhelming, and her own social media posts had documented months of deception. The judge wasn't sympathetic. She'd also lost her job, though not directly because of the scandal. Her employer had conducted their own investigation after receiving the screenshots and discovered she'd been using company time and resources for personal activities. The affair was just the tip of the iceberg. Desmond had lost his real estate license for unrelated ethical violations that came to light during the divorce proceedings. Apparently, Tasha's investigation had uncovered more than just the affair. Any regrets? Tasha asked. I thought about it. About the divorce? No. About how public it became? Sometimes. I don't, Jamie said. Mom needed to face consequences for what she did, and everyone deserved to know the truth. When did you get so wise? I asked. I had good teachers, he said with a grin. The truth was, life was better now. The house was quieter but more peaceful. Jamie and I had grown closer, bonding over shared meals and honest conversations. I'd started dating again. Nothing serious yet, but it was nice to remember what it felt like to be with someone who actually wanted to be there. Corinne had moved across town and was working as a freelance consultant. We maintained a cordial relationship for Jamie's sake, but the trust was gone forever. She still occasionally posted on social media, but her follower count had dropped significantly, and she was much more careful about what she shared. You know what the funny thing is? I said to Tasha. If she'd just been honest from the beginning, if she'd come to me and said she wasn't happy and wanted to try again with Desmond, I probably would have been hurt, but I would have respected her for it. Instead, she chose deception and manipulation, and blamed everyone else when it backfired. My phone buzzed with a notification, a friend request on Facebook from someone named Sarah Mitchell. Her profile picture showed a woman about my age with kind eyes and a genuine smile. Her mutual friends included Pete and several other people I trusted. "Who's that?" Tasha asked, noticing me looking at my phone. "Someone new," I said, accepting the request. "Good for you." As we finished our drinks and prepared to leave, I reflected on how much had changed. Since that day, I'd noticed the timestamp on Corinne's photos. A simple metadata check had unraveled 16 years of marriage, exposed months of deception, and ultimately led to a better, more honest life. "Dad," Jamie said as we walked to the car, "can I ask you something?" "Always." "Do you think you'll ever trust someone completely again?" It was a heavy question from a 16-year-old, but Jamie had earned the right to ask it. "I think trust has to be earned," I said, "and maintained. Your mom and I stopped maintaining it a long time ago, probably on both sides. But that doesn't mean I'll never trust anyone again. It just means I'll be more careful about who deserves it." That seems smart? I hope so. As we drove home through our suburban neighborhood, past the perfectly manicured lawns and the houses where everyone's lives looked perfect from the outside, I thought about the lesson I'd learned. Social media might lie, but metadata doesn't. People might manipulate the narrative, but the truth has a way of surfacing. And sometimes, when your whole world falls apart, you discover it needed to fall apart so something better could take its place. The timestamp had revealed more than just when a photo was taken. It had revealed the exact moment my old life ended and my new life began. And for the first time in years, I was looking forward to what